Also have a lot of people that throw their head back when they squat. So if you're lifting, the barbell's on your back and then you're like throwing it because they think that's the right thing to do. And I say keep your head in alignment, and we try to keep their head in alignment. But let's talk about why that's so important.
Yeah, so people who have gravity line or postural problems, the first thing that we usually prescribe as exercise is a gravity line squat. So it's an awareness squat. Like, how do you have your spine in a good position? Typically, especially when you're loaded on your back with a bar, when you're not strong enough to stand up with that weight, which a lot of times, especially when you get fatigued or you're trying to get 1 rep maxes or try to get into some of your powerlifting strength training protocols, when they get tired, they're trying to contract the muscles in their posterior chain to help with the standing position. So when people don't have the strength anymore, they recruit all the way up into their neck extensors to try to contract those muscles to stabilize in some way, to create a tension in the whole system to be able to stand up, right? So what we're trying to do is not do that. There's other stability things that we can build into a squat to help maintain this whole structural position. But to have a gravity line squat would basically mean when you're in your squat stance posture, which is a little bit different for everybody, so we're not going to talk about that, but I need to make sure that my pelvic position for my lumbar spine is neutral, and then my head position is in that neutral posture. So even if I'm in a back squat posture, the first thing that I should be doing when I squat down is knees go forward. Right, so I need to go knees forward, sit, and as I sit and I get into that maximum tension position, now I start to hinge, right? And then that hinge position of my spine as I maintain that neutral posture is the same angle as my shin. So my shin angle and my spine angle should maintain themselves in the same position, and I'm in that elongated posture. So a lot of people don't think about being what we say is axial extension or in that elongated posture of the spine when they squat, because the weight is on the shoulders and they let everything just kind of compress down, and then they go through range of motion, they increase the curves, right? And then they put a lot of pressure in those parts of the spine, which over time, again, is going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to put a lot of pressure in the joints of the spine and the discs. So the first stage in learning how to squat properly or correct somebody's postural discrepancies is to do movement with that awareness position of the spine so the spine stays straight.
It's like a pretty good spot.
You can practice that at home. Take a
back, same.
Take a
the PVC.
A PVC or a dowel rod if you have that at home. If you don't have that at home, a broomstick along the back, hand above and below. Try to keep your spine along the broomstick with the back of the head, and don't let the spine move away from that stick. And right now, when you're practicing those types of exercises, the priority is the spine position, not necessarily the depth of the squat.
All right, well, how do we keep my posture in check?
So the first thing is awareness. So number one thing is, what are your ergonomics throughout the day? Setting yourself up for success. So like number one thing is usually, what is your posture at your desk?
Oh, I don't sit at a desk.
Yeah. So every time I walk by Barb at her desk, she's in that
That's not true. Not every time.
rounded position, and I go and I just scratch her on the back, and then she's just like, she sits up and she's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll sit up, right? But then you complicate that with, how's your vision?
It's not amazing anymore.
Right. So then there's the looking into the screen to see things, right? And as we kind of peer forward, and sometimes the smaller screens are worse because the iPad is, you got to look into it, or you got to look into the phone, right? Like what does that look like, right? So it's like texting needs to be kind of in this position, which looks dumb, right? For most people, they're just like walking around like this, but it's saving your neck and your shoulders. Having an iPad in front of you in some way that's here. When you're sitting at a desk, can we turn a little bit? When you're sitting at a desk, the chair and the computer screen, like this computer screen is too low, right? Because the middle of the computer screen should be where my eyes are. So really we should lift this up, for at least me, about 4 to 6 inches, so that I'm looking straight into the computer screen. So when I'm sitting, I can have that upright posture, my feet are flat to the ground, and I can work rather than...
So then that laptop's even worse.
The laptop's totally worse, because then if it's down here, then I'm like this, right? And then a lot of times people will sit out and just kind of Or if they actually use a laptop like they're supposed to on their lap, then you're here, right? Which is in that forward position. So we need to always kind of think about, okay, how am I spending the hours of my day? The hours of my day basically being, if I'm sitting at a computer, sometimes we try to educate people on trying to have a standing desk posture, trying to make sure that the computer screen is up. And then the other things that people spend a lot of time doing are, maybe not you, but driving, right? I drive to work, I drive home, I drive doing errands, all these different things, is having the ergonomics set up in your car, that your mirror in your car is set up so that you can see out the back window, but you're sitting up nice and tall, because usually as the day goes on, you get more fatigued and the spine does shrink a little bit throughout the day, that all of a sudden you get in your car at the end of the day and you can't see out the back window because you're not sitting up tall enough to see the mirror correctly out the back window. So setting your mirror in a tall position, especially in the beginning part of the day, is a really good ergonomic cheat. And so that way when you get in your car later in the day and you can't see out the back, you're like, oh, wait a second, I need to sit up. And I don't realize that I'm not sitting up, right? And not to adjust the mirror, but actually to adjust your body into that better position. So those are typically the two things, and then if you live in an active city, like we're a pretty active city here, but like a bigger city, I mean, how many people do you walk by that are just doing this and they're walking, right? And they're constantly doing this and they're not even looking to what's going on around them. Is making sure that we're not in those postures, or leave time that if you do need to work on your phone, that you can sit down or you can be in a position where you can do those things and not try to walk around and text. But starts with awareness. You got to program yourself. Because if you do all the exercises and you don't work on your daily awareness, it doesn't matter.
So we're done for today because I got to work on awareness.
Got to work on awareness. Yeah. Exercise number one that we're going to look at is, and these exercises can be done at any time. They can be done seated, they can be done standing. You could be doing it throughout the day. You could be in your car doing it while you're driving. So number one is, when you're in this upright position, is really working on that elongated kind of up and back position of your posture, so that you're trying to get that cheekbone over the collarbone, but in this elongated position. So a lot of times when people are driving around, especially in traffic, and they're not really paying attention to their posture, is I say, try to reach your head up against the seat rest behind them, right? So that they get that head in contact. And we need to make sure that, because there are some cars out there where the seat rest is in that forward angled position, that seat rest is not pushing your head forward, right? So we need to correct that. But trying to reach the head back and not having the head free from the seat rest behind you. The other thing is, when you're in this upright position, is you can take both hands, not when you're driving obviously, both hands behind the head and pull those elbows back. So when you pull those elbows back, you can feel the muscles contract here. So if you maintain that high upright position, pull the elbows back, try to feel those shoulder blades pinching back behind you, and then just move them back forward in that forward posture, and then pull back and get upright, and then back and forward. So you could sit at your desk at work and just kind of do those opening stretches, and sometimes even in that posture, especially if I've been sitting in a bad position for a while, I'll pull those shoulders back and those elbows back as I elongate, and my upper thoracic kind of self-adjusts. I don't know if you feel that. Don't let the head go forward when you go.
I felt the head go forward, but yeah, I can feel it in my thoracic. Right,
so we're trying to get that thoracic to get into extension and get those shoulder blades to come back behind your rib cage so that you're in that better postural position. So those are two really simple basic exercises that you can do. The other things that I like to do in this upright position are just the side neck stretches, because again, as you kind of lean forward, these muscles get really tight in your neck, and so just pushing that arm down to the side and then side bending, and I call it fishing for tension. So as you side bend, if you rotate the head and kind of side bend and tilt, and then rotate the head into a different rotation like down or up, you can feel the different lines of tension around the neck. And a lot of times these front neck muscles get really tight. And so if you push down and side bend and then kind of rotate that chin upwards and try to pull that chin line away from your collarbone, you can feel some of that tension that from some of those front muscles that get short when we have that forward head posture or that rounded position forward, that pull our head down And so we can stretch all of those out. Sometimes it will feel a little nervy, especially down into the arm when you're putting that into tension, but just either ease off that stretch or overdoing it for many weeks, you should feel all of those symptoms go away and just feel a nice, pure,
I like
clean
that.
stretch.
Fishing for tension.
Fishing for tension.
Yeah.
All right. A couple other stretches that I like to do that are very easy in the standing or the seated position is take your arms back behind you, interlace your fingers, and when you pull those arms down and back, you push the chest out, the shoulder blades roll back, and then reach that chin up towards the ceiling. No, push through the ceiling. And you should feel all of the front of the neck really stretch. And it's like if you push the chin, like the jaw is trying to push out and forward. And you should feel that stretch all the way down into your chest. And then if you tilt the head right and left a little bit, it's gonna pull a little bit more on one side than the other. And usually what I feel there is you're probably stretching a lot of that platysma muscle, which is that big sheath of muscle that we make that face with, but also just sort of that superficial anterior fascia of the cervical spine.
Very painful.
Okay. And then as far as just, again, seated position, standing position, try to get some movement and some strength in those postural muscles around the shoulder blades is trying to retract your shoulder blades without shrugging the shoulders up into the ears. So you're just pulling straight back, moving forward, trying to pinch those shoulder blades back and together. And that's a really good exercise to work with, making sure that you don't work upwards, okay, and try to work back and then manage the rest of the spine. So you're not arching to try to pull back like that, but you're just moving the shoulder blades forward and back in position. And then again, manage the head posture, right? Because as we pull back, we don't want the head to go forward. We want to just work right in that line. Okay. So that's several very simple things that you can do at the office, you can do at home, you can do walking, you can even walk with your hands behind your back and kind of stretch. You can do it in the car if you're somebody that commutes or drives in traffic every single day. Try to work on some of these very simple exercises. Let us know how they're working for you. DM us, leave comments below. We'll see you next time.